Let's start with what is big news. It hasn't been officially called by the AP yet. There will be, I believe, an automatic recount because about a little over 500 about 641 votes as of this morning separates Conor Lamb from Saccone, Rick Saccone, the hapless Republican candidate. This is a big deal. This is a district that Trump won by, I believe, 20%. Mitt Romney won. Conor Lamb is likely to hold and leads right now. Libertarian candidate drew about 1,300 votes, which is the first useful thing that a libertarian has ever done. This is a big deal. And it's a big deal not because Conor Lamb is a great candidate, although it's interesting the ways in which he moved to the right are, again, more evocative of what an actual center in most of the country would look like, and certainly in a place like a Republican-leaning but somewhat working-class suburban and exurban district in Pennsylvania. He ran to the right on abortion. He neutralized Nancy Pelosi as an issue. He was pro-fracking. Bad positions. He attacked Saccone on cutting Social Security and Medicare and had a strong relationship with the unions. That is where, unlike the myth of the Morning Joe Bloomberg complex, the Clinton thing, this notion that the center is socially progressive hedge funders. The center is the opposite in most of the country. It's economically populist and more to the right on some social and ecological issues. Doesn't mean that we don't fight on those issues, but that's the actual reality of the terrain. He also ran against Paul Ryan, which is great. We want to see that everywhere. Nationalize Paul Ryan's war against 99% of Americans. It's a big deal. And here are our favorite dummies on TV telling you it's not a big deal.
Where the special congressional election they held yesterday in the 18th district, too close to call.
A razor-thin margin separating those two candidates right there. But one is already declaring a victory.
Right. Let's go out to Eric Sean because, Eric, this looked like a blowout for a while. Conor Lamb was in the driver's seat. It was just a matter of blowing up the balloons. And then what happened?
Well, this happened. Virtual tie. Here's the headlines this morning here in Pittsburgh. It remains that way right now, Brian, although reports say it looks good for Conor Lamb, but it's very close.
That is such an unbelievable. Okay, let me just quote now from Reality. Do you have another one you wanted to play? Okay, the idiocy continues.
This is after it became a little bit more clear that Lamb was probably going to be the victor.
Okay, here we go.
Lamb was going to win by 6 points, so something drew it closer together. If you believe in polls, maybe it was the president's visit and the visit from the Trump family. Nonetheless, too close
Democrats
to call.
are definitely looking at that saying, what is it about this candidate that people like? Because we got to continue this.
Well, Britt Hume said he was cute a couple of nights ago.
He
Right.
is very,
And he would know.
handsome.
And that's where I go to.
He's young. He's a Marine.
Yeah,
You go to Britt
absolutely.
Hume
I go to Britt Hume to find out what policies matter and sometimes who's the cuter one.
Cuteness.
Right. Absolutely. Cuteness counts.
Yeah, a lot going on there. Let's just, from NBC News, the district was gerrymandered to guarantee easy re-elections to its former incumbent, Tim Murphy, a Republican who was forced to resign last year after it was revealed that the pro-life lawmaker has pressured his mistress to have an abortion. Republicans sounded alarm as early as January and began dumping millions of dollars in a race to boost Saccone. With 2 visits to the district, Trump led a parade of high-profile surrogates for Saccone, underscoring how invested the White House and GOP leaders felt in the race and how nervous they were about its outcome. National Democrats, on the other hand, kept their distance, determined not to repeat the fiasco of last year's special election in Georgia when a multi-billion-dollar intervention ended up tainting the party's candidate in the eyes of conservative voters. They gave Lamb room to define himself, drawing on his background as a Marine and former federal prosecutor. Yeesh. So the reality is that it was a Republican district. I believe it was a plus 11 Republican district, which is not even a lean. That's Republican. Murphy hadn't faced serious challengers in quite some time.
They say there's something like about 120 districts that are about that competitive or less. So
that's the type,
more.
right? That is the type of result that, and don't get complacent. Keep pushing on every front. That result replicated. Democrats take the House. No question. And then the next phase of the struggle begins.